Howdy, y'all. My name's Israel Del Toro. I'm a biology professor at Lawrence University, and over the last week or so, a group of my students and I have been working together on digesting the recent IPCC report that just was released about a week ago. Um, what I'm about to do here is just read the letter, and hopefully, we can get you to sign on to our petition. This letter is basically calling for Wisconsin legislators to provide or support legislation that helps us control climate change, helps us regulate some of the major consequences of climate change that might be impacting Wisconsin specifically. So here we go. To the representatives of the state of Wisconsin, on Monday, October 8th, 2018, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC, released a special report detailing the immediacy of global climate change impact across multiple sectors. Because we recognize that not all components of this report are applicable to our state, we synthesized and expanded on those parts which are relevant to us. This document is for your benefit, and we will gladly expand on any portion if you are interested. Please consider these 6 areas of concern a limited and non-exhaustive sampling of the threats of climate change on Wisconsin. Our group of 40 young, enthusiastic students and scientists at Lawrence University has prepared this letter for you and is detailing 6 clear areas where climate change threatens the Wisconsin way of life. Area number 1, Wisconsin climate, rainfall and changing temperature. Governor Walker announced on August 17th that recent floods have caused $208.7 million in damages in the state, including $98 million to the homes of Wisconsin residents. The wetter summers, which are a result of warming temperatures, also affect the bodies of water around the Midwest and Wisconsin. Developing and investing new infrastructure that is able to handle the changing climate is a public health and public safety issue, and your constituents need your support. According to the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, the average annual precipitation, that's snowfall plus rainfall, in the Midwest has increased from 5 to 10% in the last 20 years, and rainfall by as much as 35%. This is the result of warming due to a release of greenhouse gases from major sources like coal burning and inefficient agricultural practices. Greenhouse gases lead to warmer temperatures, and these lead to more and more moisture in our atmosphere. With more moisture in our atmosphere, catastrophic rainfall events are going to be more likely in the immediate future. Infrastructure that is able to handle new weather conditions is a must for Wisconsin. Number 2, Wisconsin water. Wisconsin is geographically fortunate to be situated on 2 Great Lakes and with abundance of fresh water inland. Often, this is something that we take for granted, considering that water is a basic human need along with shelter and food. According to the IPCC's report, it is possible to reduce the increase of water stress due to climate change by up to 50% if we are able to limit global warming from 1 degree instead of 2 degrees over the next 20 to 30 years. This has direct impacts on Wisconsin, which should support legislation that combats climate change, as increased flooding events and droughts can not only affect agriculture and livestock in a largely agricultural state, but they can also impact the quality and availability of drinking water for Wisconsin citizens. Number 3, Wisconsin agriculture. The IPCC special report states with high confidence that climate change will result in a disproportionately large negative impact to communities dependent on agriculture. According to the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, agriculture contributes $88.3 billion annually to the state's economy. Wisconsin is the leader in production of feed corn, snap beans, cranberries, milk, and cheese, among other products. Agriculture comprises over a quarter of the state's gross domestic product. This industry is at risk due to climate change, and this risk increases in a warmer world. In addition to reduced yields, the ability to grow certain crops, such as corn, will be reduced because of higher precipitation and temperatures, as well as the higher incidence of extreme weather events. Protect Wisconsin growers by supporting legislation that helps stabilize our climate. Wisconsin way of life. Fishing and hunting are integral parts of Wisconsin's culture, as activities deeply embedded in the consciousness of the state. Hunting and fishing accounted for a $2.5 billion industry in 2011, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, and is a number that has remained steady over time. Climate change poses a major threat to this industry as the decrease in biodiversity linked to ecosystem and habitat loss become a reality. To mitigate the major changes and a strong environmentally sustainable legislative part should be part of the discussion. A possible contribution to slowing climatic change is to protect vast areas of Wisconsin wilderness as carbon sinks to remove carbon greenhouse gases from the atmosphere and lock them up in our soils. Strengthening the Department of Natural Resources and working closely with federal agencies like the EPA or the USDA to protect our natural resources must be a legislative priority. Wisconsin's green economy and renewable energy. Only about 25% of Wisconsin's energy comes from non-carbon-based sources, and only about 10% of that is renewable energy. According to the IPCC most recent report, we need to increase the amount of renewable energy Wisconsin uses to 75 to 80% by 2050. Wisconsin has great potential to expand into the solar energy and wind energy sectors. Actions as simple as providing tax and monetary incentives to Wisconsinites who install rooftop solar panels or alternative ways of powering their homes should be at the top of your legislative agenda. Let's reduce the dependency on coal for energy production. An action like this would boost local economies in rural communities, stimulate new technological developments, and provide green infrastructure for sustainable energy production and dispersal. Wisconsin can do its part by implementing its own carbon-reducing state policies and investing in clean energy technologies that can both reduce consumer energy costs and build new growth industries in the state. Wisconsinites' health. The recent IPCC report states that any increase in global warming is projected to affect human health, with primarily negative consequences. Urban heat islands often amplify the impacts of heat waves in cities. Risks from vector-borne diseases are projected to increase with warming from 1.5 degrees to 2 degrees C. Due to climatic warming, there has been a spike in heat-related deaths across the country, especially in the elderly and marginalized groups. Wisconsin is an urban and a rural state. In cities like Madison or Milwaukee, the population of homeless or elderly don't have the monetary or physical capabilities to acclimate to this new climate. We ask legislators to consider increasing the cost of healthcare due to take into account the changing cost of healthcare due to heat-related injuries as well as the likely increase in vector-borne diseases. Wisconsin healthcare infrastructure should prepare to take in more climate-related incidents. Regardless of your political affiliations, climate change impacts us all equally. We've seen this recently in costly terrestrial downpours, and our economy stands to suffer as regional climate grows largely unpredictable. However, there are solutions to these problems. Wisconsin is uniquely situated to be a leader in the new green economy, while at the same time producing a new way of life, protecting our way of life and our citizens' health. We urge you to consider these consequences and solutions seriously as you vote to protect our state and ensure the well-being of your constituents. On behalf of concerned citizens, I'm Israel Del Toro, and if you agree with this letter, please join our petition by signing this letter on change.org. Thanks a lot.